Right, another day, another bit of exploring Aether as we try to get things done. We know where both of the keys we need to get to are, but the question is, how the hell do we actually reach them? Please excuse me for fast-forwarding as we try to figure that out. As I said before, I'm pretty fatigued working on this game this many clips in. While there are still things I'm looking forward to reaching in this game, I've got to say that pushing to those moments feels more like an obligation than something exciting this far in. I hope that is entirely understandable, and that I'm still managing to keep the Let's Play reasonably entertaining. Anyway, guess the second key doesn't take as long to figure out as I was worried it would. Now to get to the place with the third and final key for the Fortress Temple. Then after that, we're done with the fortress, and it's on to hunting down the keys for the final area of the game. Have I mentioned that there are far too many keys in this game? That is just such an annoying, obnoxious way to make the game feel longer. And considering how much people didn't enjoy the long key hunt for the crater in the original Metroid Prime, I have no idea why they decided to make the key hunt worse for this game. I remember there's a bit of key hunting in Metroid Prime 3 as well, though I don't think they outright call them keys there. It seems to be a bit of a fetish for this series, one that I hope they don't bother to do when Metroid Prime 4 comes out, though I wouldn't be surprised by that annoyance showing up again. Just need to get through the portal here, and we're almost on top of the final key. Kind of surprised that kamikaze dive didn't do any damage to us, but I suppose we were just enough pixels away to go unscathed by it. Still looked pretty cool. Still don't remember if I've scanned that particular variety of possessed space pirate. I'm just annoyed that the game decided to make them move and essentially fight the same as the Chozo ghosts from the previous game. When the ghosts attacked us that way, it helped make them feel creepy as hell. They were the only enemy that did that sort of thing. Completely unique to that game, which made them all the creepier. But here, it just feels like something that was done because they still had the animation and movement files and wanted to rush another enemy into this game. It's just funny that I didn't have much of a problem with other enemies in this game looking pretty similar to other enemies and having their same attack patterns, but this just annoys the crap out of me. Okay, so I was wrong about us needing to screw attack somewhere above in order to get this key. Guess it's back to the drawing board. Still kind of annoying that I thought we were that close to grabbing it, but it turns out that barrier prevents us from getting it with our relatively new upgrade. Time to fight the same two flying pirates again. Okay, we're a little more worn down than I'd like, but we've still got plenty of other tanks, and I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to replenish that health. Though again, I can't help feeling that the healing item drops feel kinda lackluster considering how often we're hurt, and by how much around here. Am I just greedy for wishing we had more healing items around here? Maybe get one of those yellow 100-point orbs? Anyway, let's find another nearby portal, because again, Traveling between dimensions is as casual as getting a taxi around here. There are some aspects that make it mildly annoying, but it's still all just too easy to go from one world to another in a hurry. Excuse me for feeling that sort of thing should feel more special. I wonder how many more times I'm gonna complain about that particular detail before it gets too tiring for me to keep raising. Funny how easy it is for me to feel turned around even if the room is essentially the same, just with different colors. And there's our way up. Okay, so something about the wall jump is easier to pull off than the screw attack. Nice that it wasn't a stumbling point in any way. And now we have all the keys we need for the temple. I just need to find a place to save before we go deal with the next major boss. It may not have taken long to get those 2 keys, but still, I don't want to have to go through that again if I can help it. Well, at least the game was forgiving enough that after that fall to put us on the right platform. That's worth something. Though I've got to say, we've definitely are gonna have to throw in another bit of raw footage to keep this clip from feeling too short. And unfortunately, the next bit I'm gonna have to cut off at an odd point to keep it from going over half an hour long. Always annoying when you're trying to keep it in that nice length there. This next boss isn't going to be outright hair-pullingly frustrating like some of the others we've run into in this game, but it is going to be a very damn long brawl. So long that there's no way I can keep things from going over half an hour long within the same bit of raw footage, no matter what I pull. We'll see how fun it feels once we actually get to it. Yeah, definitely not going to take long to get to the temple, considering where we are and where the save point is. I'm still gonna fast forward until we actually open the boss fight area, though. Okay, oops, wrong way there. You'd think with the sheer number of times I've gone to this specific save point that I'd have it memorized by now. Then I also thought I'd be in the absolute final area of the game this far in, so what do I know? Ah, well, at least I know enough to keep making steady progress to a degree. We haven't been spinning wheels with nothing to show for it at all. I've just been getting annoyed that we need so many damn keys to get things done, because again, the various tools in the game that we gather, from the beams to the missiles to the bombs, are essentially keys in their own right. You can't unlock the red door until you get the standard missile. You can't cross that chasm until you have the grapple beam. When the Metroid formula already has a kind of key system built into it on a fundamental level, do we really need to have so many other, more explicit keys thrown into the mix? Right, just a few more doors to go through and we're on to the next boss fight. One that outright forced me to have to put the boss fight into multiple clips without being as outright frustrating as the Spider Ball boss. So, let's see how much fast forwarding I'm gonna do through it. And that door is finally open. Really wish we didn't need to go through this much effort to get it open. And I wish it wasn't the second to last door that we need to grab keys for. Wait, we've been having our health drained during the cutscene? That feels a bit cheap to me, even if it's technically not all that much damage before we deal with the next boss. Well, that certainly looks large, but for some reason we're not allowed to scan it at all, or see an indicator for the thing to be scanned. We don't even get a little message saying we're not close enough to scan the damn thing like other times when we're not allowed to scan something before the fight actually starts. It is not a surprise in any way that this thing is going to activate and try to attack us, not after everything else we've dealt with in this fortress. The only real surprise is that this is clearly the largest foe we've ever dealt with in a 3D Metroid game. I'm not too sure if the robot here is larger than Kraid, since 2D and 3D are pretty damn different, but it certainly feels comparable to some degree. Right, heavy armor for the body, light armor for the legs. Certainly makes sense for something on this scale. Okay, maybe I should have done something extra to try to avoid getting hurt while charging after the vulnerable bits of the legs here. But for one thing, we have quite a lot of health, and for another break in that part of their legs feels important enough for the game to reward us with healing items, since there aren't any healing fields for this particular fight as far as I can see. Very much like that, this fight is far more forgiving with giving us healing items than usual. Well, we're done with the things at the absolute bottom of this bot's feet for the moment, so what next? I'm not seeing any damage on that health bar. Yeah, I probably need to start doing something other than just bombing at the bottom of the damn thing's feet right now. I definitely need to shoot those kneecaps, but I have no idea what angle to shoot them from. Okay, so if the kneecap I'm shooting at isn't a certain color, then our shots are just gonna bounce off of it? Kind of interesting to learn that the hard way, but it feels like something that really would have worked better in a game with a different aiming system than what we actually have here. This kind of boss mechanic feels oddly meant for either the Wii remake's control scheme with the motion controls, or a similar control scheme as what I saw with the original Metroid Prime's Switch version. The GameCube version it originally released with, this just feels entirely cumbersome. It's not impossible by any means, but annoying since we keep shifting our view down with each time I lose my lock-on, purposely or otherwise. It's just such an odd feeling that this boss might be too large to deal with considering the game's mechanics upon release, and that it would probably be less annoying to deal with when using control schemes that will only be available with remakes. Hell, this thing is so large that it's impossible to keep track of all of its body and all of its attacks while trying to shoot it at the same time. Well, I wasn't expecting the massive bastard to be able to jump like that, and part of me is awfully disappointed that it jumping like that didn't cause a massive shockwave we were supposed to try dodging, especially considering the stomps from earlier were causing shockwaves. I suppose it makes sense that the shockwaves didn't show up again when it jumped like that, since the energy balls we've already destroyed were the cause of those things, instead of the actual heavy weight of this monster. I can't tell just how much of the damage we've taken in this fight has been purely because of the environment, and how much has been because of the thing actively trying to either stomp on us or shoot us. I was about to start feeling a little unnerved by how many times we shot it to no effect on its health bar. And now its health bar finally went down a bit. That's some nice timing, though I'm annoyed that I feel like I need to take out all of the leg energy balls again. It's getting pretty easy to see why this ended up being such a long fight. It's not boring, at least at this stage of it just yet, but it is most certainly going to be quite the grind to take this robotic monster down. It makes sense that a massive foe is going to take a while to chip away at, but did they really have to throw a long, grindy boss like this into the dark version of the world, where we're constantly being drained of health just by existing here? Just because it's not as downright bullshit as the speed boost boss Guardian doesn't change the fact that it feels like bullshit. I should probably be shooting at the leg we're explicitly supposed to be going after at the moment, not whichever one is closest. Especially since the legs change which one is closest so damn fast, because this thing takes some very big steps as it spins around. But I just don't like having to break a lock, turn back up, and then get another lock on. Hell, I'm almost starting to get the impression that this game wasn't meant to have us fighting against a monster this damn large. So why is this thing here? Okay, no clue what I'm supposed to do to dodge that attack. Apparently, hiding behind one of its own legs doesn't stop that shot. It's not like there's any terrain we could potentially use for cover around here. And I have the distinct feeling that if I went into Morph Ball mode and just speed boosted away, that might not break the enemy's lock on either. Right, on to the next stage. As much as I appreciate the fact that this boss has an overall health bar to give us a sense for how long this boss fight is gonna go overall, I can't help feeling the knee joints deserve their own separate health bars as well, considering how long they take to destroy. It's not asking for too much. And considering we're going through the same song and dance again to take out another leg on this massive robot, I think I feel justified in fast-forwarding at this point. Sure, it's very engrossing to actually play through. With each kneecap I took out, I smiled just a little bit wider. But apparently for this leg, I'm not even gonna bother destroying absolutely all the orbs at the bottom. Why bother when I've already picked out a kneecap and I'm just gonna be spraying power beam fire at it. I am being completely relentless, and even when fast-forwarded, it's taking an obscene amount of time for me to get the next leg taken down. Yeah, the only reason I finished off that last orb on the ground was to gain the health it was, hiding. While it's fine enough when you're going through the actual fight, the big guy just doesn't have that many attacks, so this is just a very long, drawn-out process of breaking it apart piece by piece that is not fun to comment on. It's fun to play, but not comment on. An Iron Man match against a complete damage sponge that seems to have taken the game's philosophy of slowing things down for the sake of it to heart. And good God, it is not particularly interesting to watch when it's going on for this long. And this is already after I trimmed the fight by stopping the clip at the closest thing to a dividing point I could find. Hell, I don't even have the time to transform into Morph Ball mode when it starts doing that spin and draws us in like that. The lock-on attack and the spin attack are both just far too unforgiving for my taste. Yet despite that, we've been able to keep our health pretty high. How the hell can a boss inside of a hazardous environment feel so oddly underwhelming while still having so many factors that should make it feel just outright terrifying to deal with? And with that, the big guy no longer has any knees for us to cap, but it still has a little over half of its health. Yeah, I'm probably gonna fast forward through a good amount of this fight. Well, its movements are certainly a bit more shaky. That's a nice visual sign that we're going through some major critical damage to it. Wait, the head just completely detached like it would have if we were fighting against the smaller spider robots we've seen across the fortress? Were those enemies supposed to be considered a practice run for this boss or something? Or did this boss end up inspiring the game designers to make that more common enemy? Great. This thing isn't even making it easy to scan the next stage of the fight, so we can figure out what the hell we're supposed to do next. Yeesh! High sonic transmissions, eh? I have the distinct feeling the sonic visor is going to play a role in the next stage of this fight. Too bad it just does not feel interesting to look through the damn thing. Well, at least that locked-on shot didn't hit us. That's a mercy. I kinda wish I had a better sense for how much damage we're inflicting, though. But I could say the same for the entire battle. Well, they certainly gave this boss plenty of health and tools to keep the fight going for a hell of a long time, that's for sure.